early days in the exploration of Canada, stories had been told of a mighty waterfall at the western end of Lake Ontario. Among the earliest Europeans to see the Niagara Falls were the French explorer La Salle and a companion, Father Louis Hennepin. They visited Niagara on the 6th of December, 1678, and in his account of the journey, Father Hennepin wrote, 4 leagues from Lake Frontenac, there is an incredible cataract or waterfall, which has no equal. The waters plunge down a height of more than 500 feet, and its fall is composed of 2 sheets of water and a cascade with an island sloping down. In the middle, these waters foam and boil in a fearful manner. Thus, Father Hennepin described his impression of the majestic splendor of the Niagara Falls. His estimate is greatly exaggerated, but the awe and wonder spectacle is shared today by the many thousands of visitors who have made Niagara Falls one of the world's most famous tourist attractions. Through the years that have passed since the falls were first discovered, they have provided a challenge to many men. The intrepid Blondin crossed the rushing waters in a tightrope. Others have shot the rapids in barrels. Many of the world's great authors have written vivid descriptions of the beauty and majesty of the falls. Practical men have harnessed the power of the waters to provide one of the vital necessities of modern life, electrical power. On the Canadian shore, the Ontario Power Plant, built in 1905. The Canadian Niagara Plant in the same year. The Toronto Power Company's plant in 1907. The Sir Adam Beck Niagara Generating Station No. 1 in 1922. And its sister plant, Sir Adam Beck No. 2, placed in initial service in 1954. While on the American side, there is the Adams Station, put into service in 1895, and the Sholkoff plant in 1907. It is also proposed to build a new plant at Lewiston with an intake at Connors Island above the rapids. The Niagara River is an international waterway, and all power diversions are subject to mutual agreement between the United States and Canada. To regulate these diversions and deal with all matters affecting international waterways, an International Joint Commission was set up in 1909. From the beginning, the Commission has always been conscious of the need to maintain the spectacle of the Niagara Falls. Thus, the Niagara Diversion Treaty of 1950 specifies not the amount of water that may be used for power generation, but the flow necessary to maintain natural beauty. This was set at 40 million gallons a minute during the daylight hours of the tourist season. The treaty also calls for Canada and the United States jointly to undertake measures to preserve and enhance the beauty of the falls. For several months prior to the signing of the treaty and the setting up of the International Niagara Board of Control, engineers of Ontario Hydro, in cooperation with the Corps of Engineers, United States Army, had prepared extensive reports and plans for a system of remedial works for the Niagara River. Gathering the necessary information for these reports was no easy task in such fast-flowing waters, but by the application of skill and ingenuity, the survey parties overcame the many problems of the Niagara River, and a vast fund of detailed knowledge was accumulated. Land surveys were made along both the United States and the Canadian shorelines. Precise information on the depth of the river was needed, and because the rapid flow of the water made it unsafe to use boats, a sounding line with a weight attached was dropped from a helicopter. Under certain conditions, it was unsafe for helicopters to operate, so large balloons harnessed together served the same purpose. From these balloon assemblies, or kite-tunes as they are called, a sounding weight can be lowered by means of a winch set up in the shore. A flag is attached to the line, a known distance from the weight at the end. When the weight touches the bottom of the river, instrument men on shore measure the height of the flag above the water, and from the reading so obtained, the depth of the river bed may be calculated. Accurate elevations of the wave crests were necessary, and a night operation involving the use of high-power searchlights was devised. With the beam of light directed along predetermined lines, instrument men could take readings that would enable the engineers to build up a complete and accurate pattern of the waves. Less spectacular, but equally important, was the reading of gauges along both banks of the river to provide detailed information on water levels and flow under a wide variety of weather and seasonal conditions. The information gathered by these surveys was applied to the building of two large-scale models of the area, one by the Corps of Engineers, United States Army, at their Waterways Experimental Station at Vicksburg, Mississippi, and the other by Ontario Hydro at Islington near Toronto. The use of models in the study of hydraulics provides engineers with a valuable aid in solving their many problems. New ideas can be tried out, and experiments that would otherwise be impossible can be performed. By building two models, it was possible for Canadian and United States engineers to make independent studies of the behavior of the river and cross-check the results. The task of preserving the natural beauty of the area falls into two parts. The first is to maintain the level of Grass Island Pool, the area above the rapids back to Grand Island. Upon this level depends the distribution of water over both falls. The second part of the task laid down in the treaty is to improve the crest line of the Horseshoe Falls. Studies of past records had revealed that when the falls were seen by Father Hennepin in 1678, the crest line was 1,080 feet downstream from its present position. By 1842, it had receded to here. And in the 63 years between 1842 and 1906, there was a further recession of 264 feet. Between 1906 and 1950, the line moved back another 120 feet, making an annual average recession of about 3½ feet. This recession or erosion is due to the softness of the rock beneath the hard limestone of the riverbed. The falling water wears away this softer rock, leaving an overhang which eventually becomes too large to support its own weight and the weight of water above. Even the hard rock of the riverbed is affected by the continuous rush of water, and over the years deep channels have formed which concentrate the flow of water to the center of the horseshoe and reduce it at the flanks, exposing patches of bare rock, particularly at periods of low river flow. These then were the two problems to be solved by careful studies on the models, problems which had been complicated by increased power demands and the need to allow for additional power diversions on both the Canadian and the United States sides of the river. Work on the models took many months as technicians and engineers applied and checked various conditions that were likely to arise on the river. The behavior of floating ice was studied by using blocks of paraffin wax. Even birthday candles had a part to play. When allowed to drift downstream on wooden floats, They gave a clear indication of the flow pattern of the river. Day by day, Canadian and American engineers expanded their knowledge of the river and applied this new knowledge to the preparation of plans for remedial work in the falls. Both the Canadian and American models had been built with removable sections, enabling the two groups of engineers to test and coordinate various ideas with the minimum of delay. Here, a redesigned Horseshoe Falls is being built into a model. The modifications incorporate a 4-foot deepening of the riverbed at each flank of the falls. The deepened sections, colored red in the model, divert some of the concentrated flow of water from the center of the horseshoe to the sides. The result is a more even curtain of water over the crest line, and the redistribution of water by reducing the flow at the center will slow down the rate of erosion. Finally, a control dam, 1,550 feet long, was designed to be located about a mile above the rapids to control the level of Grass Island Pool. Closing or opening of the gates will maintain the level of the pool and thereby provide an adequate flow to the American Falls. In the fall of 1953, work began on the river with the building of a cofferdam, or watertight enclosure at the site of the 13-gate control structure. First of all, an anchorage of wooden frames or cribs filled with rock was built out into the river for a short distance. Cofferdams are often completely built in this way, but on the Niagara River the force of the water is so great that the engineers devised a method of their own, using steel cribs. As the cribs were placed on the bed of the river, heavy concrete blocks were used to weigh them down and at the same time provide a roadway for the movement of equipment. To make the cofferdam watertight, interlocking sheet steel piling was driven into the rock of the riverbed on the outer side of the cribs. In order to interfere as little as possible with the normal flow of the river, the control structure is being built in stages, each stage enclosing approximately 1/6 of the length of the control dam. With the completion of the first stage of the cofferdam, pumps went into action to de-water the enclosure. Once dry, construction crews began excavating the foundations of the first piers. In June 1954, Mr. Roger B. McWhorter of the United States section of the International Joint Commission fired a charge of dynamite to inaugurate the project on the Goat Island flank. Later in the day, on the Canadian side, General McNaughton, Canadian member of the International Joint Commission, officially started Canada's share of the remedial works. From the shore of Goat Island, a dike of steel and rock was built out into the river to divert the flow of water from the work area. With the dike as protection from the cascading waters, men and machines began drilling and blasting the exposed riverbed, excavating about 60,000 tons of rock to form the new channel to the shape and depth determined by the model studies. The Goat Island excavation was carried out during the summer and fall of 1954. Some of the rock was used as fill to extend the shoreline out into the river and provide a new and improved vantage point from which visitors can view the falls. By January 1955, the dike had been removed. The river was once again following its natural course, but now over a deeper, remodeled riverbed. Meanwhile, work was proceeding on the control structure on the Canadian side of the river. Piers had been constructed to support the control gates and house the hydraulic machinery by which they may be raised or lowered. Across the top of the dam, a roadway is being built on supporting beams made of concrete, reinforced with steel rods under tension. The use of these pre-stressed concrete beams is a comparatively new innovation in this type of engineering work, affecting a tremendous. By June 1955, the first stage of the control structure was ready for watering. Sections of the sheet steel piling were removed and the water allowed to run slowly in. Stage by stage, the control structure will be brought into operation until the last stage is completed in 1957. The entire job of excavating the Canadian flank of the falls was carried out. Around the area to be excavated, a rock and earth cofferdam was placed to exclude the main rush of water. In this enclosure, about 150,000 tons of rock were removed. As on the Goat Island flank, work on the Canadian side included a modification to the shoreline to provide an improved view of the Horseshoe Falls and the foaming waters in the gorge below. When this great remedial work scheme is completed in 1957, Niagara will have an even greater beauty to show its visitors. Father Hennepin's incredible cataract will have yielded some of its tremendous power for the benefit of man, and in return, man will have applied his skill and ingenuity to the preservation of one of nature's greatest spectacles, not only for the present generation, but for many generations to come.
Too many windows open. Hey, I'm Skip Alzheimer. Welcome to our lunchtime AV Geeks streaming show. This is episode 219 that we've been doing since mid-March. And so thank you for joining us for that. My hair is a little crazy today. I think I'm going to get a haircut this week. After we did the clippers and just did a crew cut. So that was Incredible Cataract, a film that I neglected to watch for a long time because I was afraid it was about eye cataracts and really have a problem with eye surgery footage. That's the one thing of footage that I am just like, I can't do. I knew all sorts of others, and I have certainly transferred eye surgery footage, but what would happen is I would keep an eye on the film, but I would cover up like part of where the eye surgery was, so I would just keep an eye on the frame line and some other part of it that I could make sure was in focus, because that's rough, absolutely rough. Anyways, yeah, man, if you haven't been to the Niagara Falls, totally go. And in fact, I went in, I think it was like January or early February, so it was very, very cold, and part of the falls had frozen, so it was this beautiful ice, and you see these chunks of ice kind of going over the falls, and it was really quite stunning. And yes, the Canadian side is better. They have more food options and more haunted houses over there. So do both sides, though, because it's really kind of fascinating. All right, so this film, next film is timely, unintentionally timely. And Encyclopedia Britannica film, and it's called Getting the Facts, and it's all about, you know, what sources of information should you trust when you're writing papers, but also when you're making decisions about important things like voting. Here it is, Getting the Facts.
In any democratic community, people like to talk things over when they have to make decisions. But sometimes talking doesn't seem to accomplish its purpose.
20 years. Please, gentlemen. One at a time. You'll all get a chance to speak. Let's try and get the facts on this junior high school proposal.
What I want to know is this. Why do we need a new junior high school?
Well, that's easy. Because every school in town's overcrowded.
Yes, but why can't we just enlarge the schools we already have? Why build a new school way out in the north end of town?
Because the north end of town is growing up fast. The people out there need their own school.
How do we know the new school's the answer?
Well, why not find out what other towns are doing and get some expert advice?
That's just it. We don't know enough about this problem.
That's right. Let's get the facts.
The way we make decisions in our democratic system has a profound effect on our welfare and happiness. Whether we're dealing with a personal problem or a business matter, whether we are deciding on our schools, our taxes, or any other community problem, the first thing we have to do is get the facts. The next step is to consider different opinions based on the facts. And the final step is to weigh the facts and opinions with understanding and objectivity. These standards apply to everyone. whether it's a family planning where to take a vacation, or a group of students discussing a school project, or a women's club planning a charity drive, or a city council debating a community problem. All of them have to have the facts before they are able to reach intelligent decisions.
This information is helpful, but I still don't think we have enough to settle this question tonight.
Well, we've heard the recommendation, and I think we ought to put it to
more information.
All right. How about all of us trying to get more facts? Agreed?
Though nearly everyone recognizes the need for facts in order to form intelligent opinions, they do not always know how to get the facts. A number of sources of information are available to us which can provide the facts we need to make decisions wisely. In this day of high-speed communication, more and more information is flowing to us through various channels. What are some of these channels or media of information? Our principal source of information about timely events is the press, the daily and weekly newspapers, which report the current news of our own community and elsewhere. Radio and television newscasts contribute to the stream of facts, and weekly news magazines also help to provide us with a large and varied fund of information about past and present happenings.
Say, did you go to that community meeting about the school last night?
No, but I heard it on the morning news broadcast.
Little nippy this morning.
Oh, good morning.
How are you?
Hi.
Say, why did you fellas turn down that school proposal last night?
Well, we didn't turn it down. It's just that a lot of us didn't think we had enough information to make a decision.
Oh, it doesn't bring that out here in the paper.
Although newspaper and radio reports give us wide and speedy coverage of events, they have some limitations. They present the timely and objective facts about an event, but seldom have space to give all the details and interpret them. Some editors regard local news as of far more interest to their readers than national and international events, while others play up the events that are emotionally exciting. However, most editors are responsive to the wish of readers for adequate information on any topic of public interest.
Frank, you know McNair here. He's president of the school board.
Of course. How are you, Mr. McNair?
Mac doesn't think we've done right by our readers on that junior high school problem.
Well, we'd be glad to publish more about it, Mr. McNair, but where's the story?
Well, if your readers had had more information about this school problem, we'd have been able to settle the thing last night. Why not assign a good reporter to investigate this school situation? Talk to teachers and parents. Report to the community just what the facts are.
Hey, that's not a bad idea. Can we give it the space?
Yes. I think we ought to give our readers all the facts we can on this problem.
Okay. Ed, where are you, Ed?
Most newspapers and newscasters try to provide the essential information on virtually all issues and events of current importance. But it's up to the reading public to make intelligent use of this information. One way of making sure we are getting all the essential facts is to read the same news in different papers, comparing what they emphasize and what facts they present. And when it comes to national and international news, it's helpful to read papers from more than one community. But whichever newspapers we read, the important thing is to use them fully, taking advantage of the wide range of information they offer. Besides their news of sports, their comics and women's features, there are the pages devoted to local, national, and international events, providing essential information on many important problems. Magazines are another useful source of information. They also feature timely topics, but offer more background facts than newspapers do.
Oh, by the way, Fred, the new Women's World came in today. There's an article in here you ought to read.
What, I should read stuff like that? I'm not interested in clothes and cookery.
But this is an article on the school problem by a well-known educator. You're looking for information about that, aren't you?
Yes. What does he say?
Well, he tells what various cities are doing about it.
He does, huh? I guess I'd better look into this.
But magazines, like newspapers, are limited in scope. For complete background information, we have to use other sources, the books and research studies to be found in our libraries.
Yes, Mrs. Clark, this is an excellent book on child care. Well, I do hope it'll help me with Bobby. I'm sure it will, Mrs. Clark.
Hello, Miss Andrews. I was wondering if you have any material on junior high schools.
Oh, yes, I think we do, Mr. Reiser. What sort of thing are you interested in?
Well, you know, some of us are studying the question of building a new junior high school.
Oh, yes, I read about it in the paper. I'm sure we have some material that would help you. Let's look in the card catalog.
Libraries provide us with information on the broader and more basic aspects of topics of personal as well as public interest. Here are publications giving facts and figures, reports on systematic research, books and pamphlets containing the analyses and opinions of expert scholars and specialists.
Now here's a book on school planning for the average community. And here's one written by one of the specialists right here in our own university. You know, you might talk to the man who wrote this book.
Yes, I'll see him as soon as I've read the book.
The facts and opinions provided by specialists or experts on a subject are usually the soundest kind of information. Specialists are generally recognized as knowing more about a subject than anyone else. But the experts often differ as to the facts and their meaning. And of course, not everyone who speaks and writes for the public is really an expert. So it is best to consult many sources of information before we form our own conclusions.
I'd say there's no question we should build a new junior high school.
Oh, just a minute. I'm not sure about that. Not sure at all.
Well, why not? You've looked over most of this information. You know what the facts are.
Yes, but they don't convince me.
But what about this series of articles in the paper? These certainly show you how much we need the new school.
Yes, and look here. Here, did you see these figures?
Yes.
And these? They give you the picture.
Yes. But I'm more impressed with what this fellow says in this magazine.
Just that one man's opinion? I'll tell you what's wrong with you, Fred. You've been against building this school from the very beginning.
I have a right to my own opinion.
You didn't start out with an opinion, you started out with a prejudice.
What do you mean by that?
He means you made up your mind before you had any facts to go on. That's a prejudice. You can't form a real opinion on anything until you've got the facts and considered what they mean.
Yes, and you've allowed this prejudice to blind you to the facts all along.
Perhaps so. But I'll do my best to consider all the facts, even if I am prejudiced.
Well, you can't use the facts unless you tackle a problem with an open mind. Now, let's get this stuff organized. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I believe we have enough facts on this junior high school problem. The newspapers and the news broadcasters have given us a lot of help in stories on this problem. Besides this, there have been some good articles in the magazine. And I guess we've delved into every important book and study on this subject. We know now that digging down to the bottom of things like this is an exciting and valuable experience. Now is the time to pool the information we have and reach a decision, an intelligent, considered decision based on the facts.
I don't know. Did they ever show anything like this nowadays? Have they shown anything like this since the 50s when this film came out? I think teaching critical thought about information is so important. Obviously, nowadays, it's so important. Like, what is a real news source? What is a news source that is kind of based on facts, but is written in a way that's really just an opinion piece? looking beyond headlines, all those things like that. I think media criticism should be taught in grade school, high school, especially ones that are just veiled advertisements. How can you suss that out? And where are the facts in this news story? All that stuff is super important for many, 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 many reasons. Anyways, so this next film is it's a film about ants, but it's really a film about how to get rid of ants. So this is Goodbye, Mrs. Ant. Enjoy.
Food, the one thing that all life must have to exist upon the face of the earth, and ants are no exception. They are no respecter of persons, places, or things when they are searching for food. They crawl, they bite, they sting, they aggravate and torment. They are without mercy. Ants are more numerous than any other insect and live in all climates inhabited by man. Wherever man is, there the ant is also. They seem to come from nowhere and suddenly are everywhere at once, crawling over the food. As the hordes invade, man often gives up his pleasures in utter despair. Perhaps another place, another day will be better. But man, with his will to survive, studies and fights many pests. He has found over 3,000 species and discovered that the ant has high insect intelligence. Its life begins as a small egg, and development is like that of many other insects. Soon it hatches into a light yellow larva. It remains in the pupal stage a few weeks or months, depending upon its species. Ants live in a highly developed social order consisting of a queen, workers, soldiers, and young. The males die soon after mating, leaving the colony to the females. Each member of the community has a job to do. The female soldier defends the colony. The jointed antennae aid in touch, taste, and probably hearing. The soldier is recognized by its large body, jaws, and head. The worker has a smaller head and, like other ants, has a narrow waist. Her job is to build a nest, feed the queen, forage for food, and care for the eggs, larvae, and pupae. The queen is larger. Soon after mating, she loses her wings and begins her job of laying eggs. She may have a long life and live to be 20 years old. The narrow-waisted ant should not be confused with the wood-eating termite. The ant and termite may be the same size and both have wings during their mating season. The termite, however, has a broad waist, straight beaded antennae, and is usually light in color. Most ants build their nests in the ground, where they find protection from the weather as well as from their enemies. The worker is a tireless laborer, tunneling out, digging deeper, carrying out sand grain by grain. The ant is noted for being even busier than its kinsman, the honeybee or wasp. Its muscles are strong and can lift many times its own weight. Enlarged chambers will be needed to house the eggs, larvae, and pupae. Passageways will connect new food storage chambers. Although ants are often a pest to man, their industry and intelligence can be admired. As the nest becomes crowded, the new winged queen will fly to a different location and lay her eggs. She will have no workers to tend to her needs until some develop out of her eggs. Then there are many workers. Sometimes a colony will raid another to get eggs, larvae, and pupae, which they raise as slaves. The slaves are formed into labor divisions. Many ants may be killed, but the victor will have slaves to bring in food and do much of the work. It is a fight to the finish when two opposing soldiers meet. Hard jaw against jaw with no quarter asked, and none given. Sometimes there's a quick killing wound, at other times a mortal grip. The ant's hard outside shell gives protection, but the conflict often ends in the death of both. Throughout the insect world, there is constant danger. Old age, disease, and injury mean weakness. Weakness invites death. Ants sense this weakness and use a unique communication system to call other ants into battle. Soon soldiers and workers come by the hundreds. They crawl over the weakened victim and inflict deadly wounds. Finally, the victim dies. In all nature, life is fast and quickly lived. The strong survive, the weak perish. It is the law of nature. The conqueror feasts upon the conquered, and in death, the dead feed the living. Ants eat many things. Their greedy tongues lap the juices of plants as well as animals. Workers gorge themselves and carry food in their bodies back to the nest, where it is fed to other members of the colony. Some colonies use special workers for food storage. These workers remain in the nest and feed the colony as needed. The ant colony is truly a closely knit family. The food of one is shared with the others. Some ants do not depend solely upon the food they find. These have such a high degree of intelligence that they raise part of their food. Many keep herds of aphids, often called plant lice, for ants enjoy the honeydew given by aphids. They keep their aphids together and move them from time to time to better feeding grounds and places of better protection. The operation is similar to that of a dairy farmer, and aphids are often called ant cows. So successful is their agricultural enterprise that the ant colony can maintain a herd year after year. Since aphids damage the crops of man, the ant becomes a twofold enemy. Busy workers make a highway from the nest to their objective, and soldiers protect them along the way. When the objective is the human home, ants are a pest. Up concrete foundations from tunnels below climb the ants. No wall is too steep or too high. Even the smallest crack or opening is large enough to allow ants to enter homes. Through the doors and in the windows they come. It is the never-ending search for food that makes ants such a pest to man. But man has found insecticides to control the ant. These insecticides can be purchased in granular, dust, and liquid forms. The granular type is well suited to treatment of yards and gardens. Nests are usually found around the edge of walkways, under rocks, around trees, and in the lawn and garden. A thorough treatment of the nest will wipe out the colony. treating an area around a home will help keep ants from entering, but the nests should be located and treated whenever possible. Ant nests are easy to locate, for the line of ants leads to the nest. The next rain or watering of the lawn will carry the insecticide into the nest. Today, there are numerous manufacturers of effective insecticides, each selling under different trade names. If the insecticide contains the recommended amount of chlordane, it will be effective against ants. The buyer will be wise to study the label. A good outside treatment will last a long time. Around rocks and similar places, the dust form should be used, since it will penetrate into the cracks and crevices. The dust gives good coverage in basements and hard-to-reach places, too. As a concentrated liquid, the insecticide should be mixed with water. Directions on the bottle should be followed carefully so that the spray will have the proper strength. The mixture may require a little more work, but it is more practical than the ready-to-use insecticides when large areas are to be treated. This mixture is excellent for coverage of large areas found in basements, garages, and outbuildings. On such rough surfaces, the slight residue and watermarks are not noticeable. Of course, the mixture should be shaken well before using. The spray gun should be large enough to cover the area with ease. The nozzle should be adjusted to deliver small droplets. A mist should be avoided, as it wastes insecticide and may cause contamination. Spray is particularly effective on overhanging pieces and vertical walls, since it clings to these surfaces better than dust or granular forms of the insecticide. All places where ants normally enter should be treated. Inside the home, where a noticeable residue is objectionable, chlordane in a ready-to-use oil solution can be used. Food and utensils should be covered or removed before treatment to avoid possible contamination. The paintbrush makes it possible to put the insecticide exactly where it is needed. One application may rid the kitchen of ants for 2 or 3 months. A handy dispenser bottle or an aerosol bomb is also an easy way to apply the oil solution. This spray dries without spotting. Ants like to travel around the edge of cabinets and under the sink. A larger hand sprayer makes the work faster. A good treatment with an insecticide containing chlordane kills all the ants present and gives long-time protection. And after work is done, man can return to his pleasures without fear that ants will spoil his fun. For this time there will be no ants to crawl, bite, and sting. Again the charcoal embers glow red, and the fragrance of outdoor cooking fills the air. The companionship of a cheerful fire, happy family, and the fresh outdoors brings joy and contentment. There is peace and satisfaction, too. For today we can truly say, goodbye, Mrs. Ant.
So some quick Googling, you can see the health effects of chlordane, which is basically affecting human nervous system. It can cause some convulsions or tremors in some people, having seizures, and then long-term effects are not great. So spraying it in the kitchen along your where your toddler is walking around, can't say it's a good idea. Cannot say it's a good idea. So there you go. Lots of great comments in the various fields there. I should say that tomorrow It's going to be interesting. I'm going to have back-to-back screenings. So first of all, I'm going to do something with the North Carolina History Museum at 12, where I'm going to show home movies featuring veterans and talking about how home movies capture cultural stuff. It's sort of wonderful cultural artifacts and talk about the importance of them. So I'll find a link for that and I'll put that in the comments. And then at 1 o'clock, I'm not sure how I'm going to juggle it. I think I'll figure it out. It'll be interesting. But 1 o'clock, then I'll start our normal screening show. If you like what you are seeing, you'd like to support AV Geeks, lots of ways to do it. One way is just spread the word. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your family, tell your teachers that this is something we're doing and have been doing since mid-March. And we'll just keep doing. We'll see what happens. I got lots of films to go. We've only seen a little over 900. So, and there's 33,000 out there in the world. So, another way you can support us is by buying us coffee. We like coffee. It tickles our brains and wakes us up. Excuse me. You can also go to avgeeks.com and see previous shows and previous films and video that we've digitized. And also you can buy DVDs there. So all these things are great. So this next film is called In Between, and it's a wonderful 80s film, and it's made for adolescents about growing up. So here's In Between. Enjoy.
You know, you're supposed to call me at work the minute you get home.
I did, as soon as I got home, but you weren't there.
Because I was on my way here to see if you were all right.
Dad, Mrs. Wallace asked me to stay after school and help take down the party decorations. How was I supposed to know it'd take forever? But I did come straight home, and I did try to call you.
Mark, you know it hasn't been easy on me since the divorce. Well, on either of us. And you know you're supposed to call me if you're going to be late getting home.
Dad, it's the last day of school.
And you could have called. Look, Mark, you're going to be on your own all summer. If I can't depend on you, I don't know how we can make it.
Well, you can count on me, but gosh, I can't sit on the phone all summer. That's not fair.
Well, you're 13. You got to act it.
I act it.
Well, maybe. But I need more from you, Mark, so I can concentrate at work. I got to make a living. What?
Oh, nothing.
Come on. What is it?
Oh, I just wish things were the way they used to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand. Hey, look, I gotta go, okay? You take care. And if you go swimming, be home by 6 o'clock, okay? That way we can be at the game on time, all right? See you later.
Hi, Susan. What's the matter with you? Nothing. Boy, I'd hate to see you when you're really upset. I wish... You know what I wish? So tell me. I wish the earth was flat. Huh? So I could push my sister off the edge. Oh, what'd she do to you this time? Well, every time her friends come over, she makes me leave. They say they can't talk when I'm around. I just like to listen to them. I mean, why not? I am 12. That's an easy one. Your sister's 14 and looks 12. You're 12 and look 14. Yeah, we do wear the same size clothes. That makes her sick. Well, that thing is going to be gone this summer, and look out, I'm on my own. Well, still wish I had a sister. You're crazy. If you lived with my two brothers for 1 week, you'd absolutely love having one sister. What's so good about having a sister? Well, here's what's so bad about having brothers. My folks just don't treat us the same. When my brother was 13 years old, he could go anywhere he wanted by himself, but not me. I can't even go swimming unless the brother's along. The big one wouldn't come if I paid him $13 a night. And the little one's a pain. I'll swap you even. 2 brothers for 1 sister. You go back on the deal. Besides, they talk dirty. Think that makes them big shots. Hi, Dee Dee. Did you get it fixed? Almost. No thanks to you.
Oh, don't jump on me, too. I got here as fast as I could. Dad's already on my case for staying to help Miss Wallace. I think he'd like to hook us together by walkie-talkie. Hey, the park pool's open. David's gonna be there. Wanna go?
Hey, yeah, sure. No chance Mom will let me go. Besides, she wants me to babysit Josh. Hey, wait a minute. If she knew you were going, maybe just maybe she'd let me go. Who else will be there?
Who knows?
Well, if you want to go, I'll just tell Mom that I'm going. Who knows? Yeah, maybe that would work. Or, do you think she'd let you go if she thought Mark's father was taking us?
Are you crazy? You can't do that.
There's just a little gap here between stories.
Hey, Mark, come on in. All right, as soon as I change. But I still don't understand how you got your mom to let you come swimming.
Get this. She actually said, well, I guess if you're old enough to babysit, you're old enough to go swimming by yourself. Once in a while, it pays not to be so grown up. Here you go.
Here, kid. It's just a quarter.
No, he pays full price.
Hey, wait a minute. You've got to be 13.
No, I'm still 12, but everyone thinks I'm 14. Hi, Hope. Didn't think you'd be here. Yeah, I heard Tiger Martin's lifeguarding this year. Isn't he the greatest? Yeah, he's cute. Come on, let's go change into our suits. You go ahead. I'm not going in today. Why'd you come to the pool? Boy, you're dense. Come on, Susan, let's change. Come on, Hope, and check out my new suit. That's really a nice bathing suit. I had to talk Mom into letting me buy it. Do you think it looks all right? Yeah, it looks great. Better than this. But do you really think I look okay? Sure. Can you see too much? I hate to go swimming. I look terrible when my hair gets wet. What do you care? No one's gonna see you except Mark and David. And they're so immature. I guess. Hey, do you think I should put on some lipstick to go swimming?
Hey, you.
Talking to me?
Yeah, look, they don't allow bikes in the park. I'm gonna have to ask you to leave.
So you asked me. You did your job. Good for you. Looks like this is kiddie time, huh?
Hey, come on, man. This is my first day on the job. I don't want any trouble, all right? So how about just moving along?
Tiger, would you tell those guys over there to quit bothering me?
Tiger, oh, flippy cat. What's the matter? Those creeps bothering you?
Maybe.
Maybe I can be of some help. I've been known to be very helpful.
Look, man, I'm not trying to start anything, but I need you to move that bike.
What are you doing here anyway? You fit in about as much as I do.
Me?
Yeah. Wait a second. Are you those little weirdos? I guess I was wrong.
Well, why do you say that?
What I mean is, I thought you was older. I didn't think you was hanging out with those little kids. And that big one.
Look, you don't know how old I am. I don't think you're being very nice.
I can be very nice. And I have a lot of fun. Like that bike there. Ever been on one?
No, but that doesn't mean I wouldn't like to.
Hey, come on, Susan. Yeah, let's go swimming, Susan. We'll quit bothering you.
Say, you want to go for a ride? You want to stay and play with the kiddies?
Well, I see you finally got rid of that creep Frankie.
Yeah, kind of.
Say, where did she go?
Who?
If you mean Susan, she left with the guy on his bike.
I wish you wouldn't have gone. My mother expected us to stay together.
I'm sure she's okay. Look, kids, it's not my problem that she left. I mean, I gotta look after this pool. That's my job. Besides, it was her own idea.
Mark, why'd you let her go?
Don't look at me. I'm not responsible for Susan.
But you could have tried to stop her.
Not a chance. She won't listen to me. Besides, she's your best friend.
I don't like this. Where did they go?
Who knows?
Well, what are you going to do?
Me? What are we going to do?
Well, we're going to find her. That's what we're going to do.
Some machine, huh?
It's great, Frankie. Really a lot of fun.
Are you scared?
Of course not. I'm just cold. Let's walk so I warm up.
No problem. I know how to keep you warm.
Let's just walk, okay, Frankie?
Come on, don't be in such a hurry. Look, you got goosebumps. Just relax. I'll keep you warm. What are you so uptight about? Haven't you ever been with a guy before?
Sure I have. I don't need you to keep me warm.
What's the deal? I thought you liked me.
Maybe I just changed my mind.
What's all the excitement about? I thought we came here to go swimming.
Susan went off with that biker and we're going to find her. So, what are you worried about?
She'll probably be back in a few minutes. Come on, Mark. Let's go swimming.
Mark, you gotta help me find her.
Why? It's not his problem.
Flat out, David. All right, Dee Dee, just calm down. I don't know how you think the two of us are going to find her. With a bike, they could be anywhere by now.
Right on.
But we've got to find her. My mother expected us to stay together. She let me come because she thought I'd be with Susan. Now, how's it gonna look when you find her and she doesn't want to be found?
But she may be in trouble, so we need to do something.
So what are you going to do?
Why don't you call Susan's mother?
She won't be home.
What about your mother?
Are you crazy? That'll really get me in trouble.
Well, then I'm going to call my dad.
What do you think your father can do?
Oh, Mark, you know how your father can be. Besides, he might call my mother. Well, if I'm not home after 6, they'll be looking for me anyway.
Well, I'm going swimming. That's the reason I came here.
I can just see it now. Mark calls his father. His father calls everybody's mother. And there goes my summer. I think you're all acting like babies. Why don't you just let Susan take care of herself?
It's kind of like a middle school version of Degrassi Junior High, which was a very popular series, Canadian series that has a kind of a devout following. And I have several of those episodes on film. But yeah, you've got these short little vignettes about these kids who are tweens, basically. Somebody found that terminology for me, but I forgot. Who are trying to cope with not quite being a teenager, not quite being a little kid, being trusted, not being trusted, all that stuff. Stuff that I distantly remember as a tween myself. Yeah. So thanks everybody for tuning in today. Very much appreciate it. Oh yeah, I was going to find a link to, let me look at that real quick. So like I said, I'm doing a screening via Zoom, not really sharing it. So let's see if I can find it real quick. See if I come up as an event program. It is Veterans Day, so wow, they don't really even have me listed. That's hilarious. Yeah, so if you visit my Facebook page, I'll have a link for it. AV Geeks Facebook. I can't seem to find it. I have a link for myself, but I think that there's another way to get to that link. But anyways, if you're interested in watching some home movies, there are home movies of my father and my stepfather in the military. And there'll be some other stuff too. Home movies, that's my big passion. I haven't really shown a whole lot of home movies on this streaming thing because my other big passion, of course, is 16mm educational films. But home movies are great. And so, I don't know, maybe I'll duplicate. How about that? Maybe I'll... maybe I'll just show some of the highlights on this, so you don't have to worry about going to Zoom and then coming over to. Yeah, so let's do that. How about that? There we go. Again, thanks everybody for tuning in, and thanks for the coffee, and thanks for subscribing, and thanks for other things. And if you're out in public, wear a mask. It kind of makes sense. It's so easy. Your grandmother makes masks. They're so easy. It's why wait for a vaccine when we can wear a mask? Anyways, everybody take care. And as always, I look to the film cans, inside the film cans, to see for advice and for life lessons. And it tells me to please rewind and to love each other. So everybody have a good rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow.